I'm explaining a film from 2022 titled Lou. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the content. In the movie, we initially see an older and fierce woman. She goes on a digging trip in her backyard with her dog, Jax, and discovers an intriguing box. She lives alone in her home. The weather darkens and she seems to be hinting to an impending storm. To that point, she does a culinary act, slicing a large piece of meat for her dog. She excavates a box from the earth and burns old photos and documents one by one.
I wish I could say that some good came from what I did. In truth, I left the world a more dangerous place.
Subsequently, the woman prepares to take her own life holding a suicide note and a gun. After a few seconds, a gunshot rings out and the scene fades. We discover that this woman goes by the name Lou. The story then jumps forward a few days to introduce us to Lou, the woman going on a deer shooting expedition. When Lou goes to the bank after the search and requests for all of her money, the cashier reacts considerably, which might indicate that Lou has amassed a substantial sum of money. Lou pulls some cash from a bag while the deputy inspects her vehicle. Lou confidently responds that the deer darted in front of her automobile when the sheriff questions. Lou then leaves the automobile behind as they are getting ready for a major storm that is predicted to approach. Next, we meet V, who is renting a room from Lou, and her mother, Hannah. Even though it's not true, Hannah constantly tells V that her father is searching for riches. Similar to everyone else, they too prepare for the approaching storm. Lou pulls up in her car as usual to pick up Hannah's rent. She tells Hannah to put the money on her table before supper tomorrow. V, who was playing nearby, narrowly escapes being run over by a lost car when she suddenly darts in front of it.
Why you gotta drive so goddamn fast when you know there's a child nearby?
World's not a playground.
Hannah's friend Chris visits. During their conversation, it becomes clear that they are in a romantic relationship. On the way back, Chris spots a man who is drenched in rain on the road and offers to give him a ride. But after a while, the guy assaults Chris without warning. In the meanwhile, Hannah takes out a little amount of money from her savings to cover the rent in the morning. The narrative then shifts to the present, with Lou burning pictures and penning a letter to Hannah. She writes in the letter that Hannah is now the legal owner of the house and can sell it at any time. She also mentions that Hannah has some money and that Jax has enough meat in the freezer for a month. Lou is obviously very concerned about Hannah and V. Maybe her prior struggles have led her to this point where she is thinking about ending her life. When the lights in her house abruptly go out, and Hannah walks outside to check the fuse, an intruder sneaks into her home from behind and leaves.
I'm scared. Do you want to sleep with me tonight?
I'm just gonna go flip the breaker.
Bewildered that Chris had left a long time ago, she inspects the van and finds his lifeless body behind it. Just when Lou is about to commit suicide, the action returns to her home. Meanwhile, Lou hears a knock on his door. Fearfully, Hannah goes inside her home and tries to phone the sheriff, but there is no signal. In addition to this discovery, Hannah talks about her husband Philip. The two have been residing on a secluded island distant from the city, yet Philip has been able to find her. She worries that he's back and that he'll take V and take her elsewhere. Hannah gives Lou a hidden message that includes a picture of her and her daughter. "Hi Mom, this is my turn now." Lou has a scary event before realizing this is a hidden message. He then walks outside to help Hannah when her automobile won't start. When she opens the hood, she finds a time bomb and quickly pulls Hannah out of the car before it explodes. They need to find V on their own, she tells Hannah, adding that they are 10 miles from the city. But Lou is cautioned by Hannah that Philip is an explosives expert and soldier with a criminal history. The previous few years have been spent by the police searching for him. Philip is pushing V in a trolley, and Lou deduces from the marks on the ground that he wants to get a boat before they can save her. Hannah is insistent that they require professional support. Instead of listening to Lou's advice, Hannah decides to go for a stroll with Lou while the storm is still in the area.
I have to track him. Stay here.
Hey, where are you going?
To find my child!
If you slow me down, I will leave you behind.
Meanwhile, V finds herself in a wooden room after regaining consciousness. She is surprised to see her father Philip there and feels a little comforted. Philip tells her, falsely, that her mother would arrive shortly. Lou and Hannah encounter a residence occupied by two people as they go on their journey. Lou is informed by Hannah that they are Philip's friends. To gather information, Lou arrives at their house disguised as a helpless old woman and informs them that her dog disappeared in the rain. Her suspicions are piqued when she notices V isn't there. Following a brief conflict, Lou displays her incredible power and defends herself by tossing hot soup at one of the individuals. Hannah begins to have doubts about Lou as well, understanding she's not an average lady. Hannah finds a walkie-talkie. Hannah flips on the walkie-talkie and muses over phoning the authorities. Lou, on the other hand, demands that she switch it off and carry it with her, saying that in order to be discreet, it must be kept off. Activating it may put their security and her investigation into her circumstances in danger. Philip keeps walking gently toward the ocean. Hannah caves into temptation and turns on the walkie-talkie again in an attempt to call the authorities. Lou determines that Hannah has experienced violence from her husband based on the scars on her hands. A damaged bridge that Philip is unable to cross ahead of them prompts Hannah to notice a girl's cart as they continue their journey. Lou instructs Jax to return home, then safely crosses the bridge. Hannah follows Lou, but her injured hand hinders her progress, causing both of them to tumble from the bridge. Miraculously, they avoid falling into the river. They reach the sea, spotting an old decrepit ship. They are unable to find V. Lou finds out that Hannah has brought a walkie-talkie with her, and they realize that Philip is aware of their presence despite the danger. Lou tells Hannah to call the mountaintop sheriff's office and then follows the smoke from a distance. Lou reassures Hannah, who is becoming increasingly nervous, that this may be a part of Philip's plan. They find a note in the distance and a picture of V and a teddy bear on the ship. Hannah, on the other hand, is able to get a signal and heads over to the sheriff. But the link is suddenly severed. When Lou is revealed as Philip's mother, it becomes clear that Philip and Lou had a previous connection. She finds V dozing off in a safe spot, but Philip threatens her with a revolver. Because of his intense hatred for his mother, Philip kidnaps V in order to punish her. Lou reveals that Hannah doesn't know the truth about Philip, that he was kidnapped when he was a youngster because of her espionage job. Lou had to make decisions that stopped her from looking for her son. Philip's bitterness against her deepened over time, escalating his dislike of others even though they kept their connection a secret. Fearing that her son might harm Hannah and V in his fury, Lou had been attempting to protect them from him up until now, but she hadn't had the courage to tell them that Philip was their family. After injuring his mother, Philip and his daughter V quickly leave. The police tell the sheriff not to become involved in the case even though he is already aware of Hannah and her kidnapped daughter. While searching Lou's suitcase for emergency materials, Hannah returns and discovers that Lou is injured. The sheriff learns that the CIA is hunting Lou while the police are also interested in capturing Philip, a legendary fugitive. In actuality, the CIA aims to murder them both. After seeing certain images, Hannah understands that Lou was the intended recipient of the messages Philip left, and for the first time, Hannah begins to question Lou's participation. Hannah wonders if Lou has any say in the situation. Lou informs her that, at the recommendation of an old college buddy, she traveled here seeking refuge and protection. Hannah has some renewed trust in Lou. Lou tells that Philip has driven V to the lighthouse, which forces Hannah to make the trek there by herself. Jax helps the sheriff arrive thus far. When he realizes that Lou is hurt, Lou begs him to collect materials so he may help her. Lou drives her car to the lighthouse after the sheriff leaves to acquire the items she needs, and Hannah sees Philip and V waiting there. Hannah takes Philip at gunpoint and fires warning shots, but Philip survives. He makes an attempt to capture Hannah, but she escapes and goes to locate V. It is there that she discovers Philip has put up a remote-controlled explosive, for which she still has the remote. Lou, meantime, shows up to the location after spotting the device. Hannah takes a brief detour as Lou starts to work on the wiring, but they remain in the lighthouse. Philip remotely detonates the device as soon as he discovers Lou is present, but it does not detonate. Lou had already defused the bomb when he pushes the button, having helped Hannah and Lou escape the lighthouse. Lou notices a chopper in the skies and knows the CIA is searching for them. After getting some distance from the lighthouse, Lou uses a walkie-talkie to set off a bomb, which completely destroys the lighthouse. She does this on purpose to draw attention away from Philip, then she tells Hannah and V to leave, and later on, Philip arrives. Lou tries to stop him, which sparks a furious fight between the mother and her displeased son, who finally cry and hug. Lou apologizes to Philip as she observes the helicopter in the air. The man in the chopper shoots Philip, and both of them fall into the sea. Upon prolonged searching, the chopper's occupants come to believe they had passed away. They then depart the scene to go to Lou's residence. Since they haven't located Lou's body yet, the CIA visits Hannah for many months to ask about Lou. Lou destroys many papers that might prove the CIA controlled the course of the country in 1953 as he contemplates suicide at the end of the movie. After answering several questions from CIA agents and saying goodbye to the sheriff, Hannah and V are seen at Lou's residence, ready to leave. After that, Jax and them take a boat. Jax's gaze is fixed on a partially visible person on the upper deck. Then, the camera pans to reveal a woman's arm, adorned with a copper bracelet and a scar that matches. She's watching her granddaughter and daughter-in-law via binoculars. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hope to see you next time.